I mean, not the agenda, the minutes from last time. Anybody have any comments on that? Okay,
I
we get a
move to
motion
accept
on
the
the
minutes.
Second it.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I forgot to read our preamble, and I don't have it in front of me, so no fighting, people.
Promise.
Can we have our treasurer's report, please?
So I'm gonna report for Elaine, who is on vacation.
Okay,
So she gave me the following, regarding town appropriation for the CEA general fund account. Expenditures for December total $24,985. We have expended approximately 54% of our budget over the 7-month period ending January 31st, which is in line with our budget.
good.
As for the grants, our Eco Earmark, parentheses pergola, ARPA Food Insecurity Grant and State Formula Grant, no activity is reported in the grant accounts during January.
And that's normal, I guess, right?
She said so, yes.
Okay, good, that's what I like to hear.
She said so. And the town has not yet corrected the reporting of the carryover balances in the formula grant and the ARPA grants. We're expecting that to be posted soon. I'm actually have a email into Corey to check on that because we met with her in late December and she said that would be posted, so. As for the revolving fund, fund receipts exceed expenses by $627. The revolving account balance is $20,737. Gift accounts. January gift receipts include $5,000 from the Social Service League for the social worker payroll and $1,000 for Cohasset Cares program. Expenses are primarily social work related. Our total gift fund balance at January 31st is $63,105. Our unrestricted gift fund balance is $33,253. And then she reports on the town capital project for the CEA van replacement. The delivery of the van is expected in June of 2024. And that's what we have from Elaine.
Okay. Any questions for Elaine who's not here? Okay, I hear that. Okay, can I get a motion on the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, I see you've already posted the director's report. Right?
Posted,
That was last month.
No.
I'm sorry, Rich, say that again?
The director's report, I saw it in the minutes from, in the
Oh, okay, yeah.
information that came from Richie, which is unusual, but I appreciate getting it early.
Yeah, yes, I was told that going forward, you would like that to review, so we
Yeah,
got it
that's a
in
good- I
early.
think that's a good idea. Okay.
Here,
Wanna
is
see
it,
that?
take that. There's probably a copy of it here somewhere.
Of what?
No, that.
Right.
This one, yeah, yeah,
February, yeah.
yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's what I, okay, yeah.
So I don't see Bob coming in, so at this time, want me to just go on with my report?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
All right, yeah, would you have one?
One more, please.
So I try to condense it from last month. I think I did a little bit too much, so I'm trying to just keep it brief, in line with what Nancy has
go.
done, right? All right, so the heat at Wilcox Commons has been fine since January 18th. I think you were here on that day. We've been provided with industrial space heaters and we've had no complaints. So we're doing okay. Whatever they did to fix it is fine for right now. Whether further repairs are needed down the road, I haven't been informed, but we're fine.
We don't know if that's a permanent,
I think it's up in the air, but they're on it.
Mhm.
So, and again, we've been provided with some pretty long industrial heaters. You'll
Are
see
you
from-
guys comfortable in those front offices?
We are. We've had no complaints. We have no complaints. So that's good. So due to multiple infestations of fruit flies, it was agreed with Montana Castle, who's our sustainability planner and grant coordinator, to stop composting till we get a kitchen coordinator. It was just too much for the volunteers to empty those big bins, you know? Too much to ask.
Oh, the flies. are
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah, and they liked our front offices for some reason. I don't know how they made it down there, but they did. So, but it is a great program and we will revisit that once we have someone who can tend to it. We did have our kitchen coordinator, Ray, come in and did cook that one day. And we talked about that
Yeah.
last time. He did great, but we're unsure if he'll be returning.
Why is
Why-
that?
why is that?
Oh, here comes Sarah. Sarah, I think he might be having some medical issues right now we have to deal with, so it had nothing to do with him or his performance.
Okay.
But the food was amazing. He made pork burrito bowls and everybody loved it.
Great.
Cleaned up, I mean, it was great, so we'll have to wait on that. Hi, how you doing? Yeah.
Director's report, yeah. Thanks.
So in the last month's, in the February newsletter, I talked about the File of Life, which is something that's been around for a really long time. But we decided to revisit it because Mary Kay Richardson had talked about a File of Life for pets, which is a great idea. If something were to happen to you, who's going to take care of your beloved pet? We've had circumstances where this has happened. People have had to come in. But the response we got just for the File of Life alone, the number of people who are asking for them, it's been a great reminder to revisit things we think everybody already knows, because they've been around for years, right?
Yeah.
I thought everybody had one.
That was what our last cafe, board meeting brought up, and we're like, what are you talking about?
Oh, really?
And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So she went and got some, and we're all like, oh, this is a good idea.
It is.
And it's
think
been
we're
around
invincible,
forever.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a good reminder to me not to assume that everybody knows
Yeah.
about these things that,
Not only that, but people who have had one for many years.
Yeah,
you may-
updated,
Yeah,
true,
things
true.
change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
I don't think I've ever heard of this before. Can you talk a little more about it?
Yes.
Sure. So the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office, they have a File of Life. They work with police and fire. It's a little condensed
It's like a plastic packet.
packet that you can put on
Magnetic.
magnet, you can put on your
Oh,
fridge.
red.
I've
Yeah,
had that.
or your
yeah.
glove compartment, and if the fire, if there is an emergency in your home and they see that on the refrigerator, they know right away, and it actually goes to the hospital with you. So, right away, they know your prescriptions and everything.
I have one.
And who your emergency contact is and what your wishes are. And,
Oh,
Mir-
I've had that on our refrigerator for years. Now I know what you're talking about. Okay.
See?
Somebody needs to update.
Yours might need updating.
Check it.
I didn't know it
We
had a
have
name.
we've had plenty extra for you, Rich, if you wanna do a new one. So Valentine's Day week events. So we are getting 100 individually wrapped heart-shaped cookies from Sunrise Living. They have been wonderful with their donations of desserts. We'll give them out tomorrow and Wednesday. And I was gonna say there's still room to sign up for tomorrow's program, but with the snowstorm, that has been
Oh,
the best late. We're gonna postpone that. We're trying,
Sounds fun.
I know, we were,
Postpone what?
Meredith Goldstein, Boston Globe Love Letters. Tomorrow, we're gonna postpone it to.
Okay.
Oh, so you're not gonna wait and see what the weather
Yeah,
is?
you're gonna wait.
Ah.
I mean,
What do
yeah.
they predict? What are they predicting?
It's
for
saying
snow?
like at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
and go
Yeah.
all day.
Well,
Like up to.
1 to 3 inches.
I
Well,
know.
I've heard,
More
I've
like
heard.
talk
eight,
more-
nine,
It's
okay.
When-
one of those ones where it says 4 to 8, the other
Yeah.
one says 6 to
Yeah.
12, the
Yeah.
other one says 1 to 3.
I know, it's a tough call. I wish I had a crystal ball, but I did.
Remember when
speak to
everybody
Glenn Pratt.
wet their pants about the snow?
Yeah.
Well,
I remember it well.
Yeah, I know it.
At least one
Yeah,
thing, I
anything
know I
under a
won't be
foot was.
shoveling.
Right. Right.
It's not good to gloat, Rich. But yeah, Glenn called this morning and said pretty likely, the schools will be closed. It's not done yet, right?
It's
Meg?
not done yet,
but-
but the weather report this morning was 5 to 9 in this area. So I think it's pretty safe to say, even if we had the program, we're not gonna get a lot of participants. So I think it would be best to have it on a day that people would come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Excuse me,
So
who are you?
Hi.
Same thing.
I'm sorry.
Wait a minute.
So my name is Megan James. I oversee all of community services
Oh,
and I
You're
am-
Megan.
I'm
James.
Megan James.
Oh, I've heard the name a lot, never seen the face.
And I'm the Human Resources Director as of today.
Great.
Congratulations. So I just came to support. I know you have a lot of big projects coming up. If I can, help or guide or, anything. So that's why I'm here, just to see if I can help out with some of the bigger things that you have going on. Yeah, so that's just why I'm
We
here.
need all the help we can get.
I'm happy
Thank you.
I'm happy to see what I can do.
Great.
And my
Megan.
apologies for not introducing
okay,
you. I
that's
thought
fine. I
everybody
should
knew
have
who you
jumped in
were.
to let
Megan,
things go.
Megan, does that mean you're not my boss anymore?
Correct, so Bronwyn's your boss now.
Who?
Bronwyn, she's the, let's see, short blonde hair, was the admin assistant, is now the library director.
Oh, okay, good. Good.
So it's a pleasure working with you.
Oh, so she
Well,
was the
thank you.
library.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
library director.
Yes, I was the library director,
Human
but as of
resources?
today, I'm the HR director.
Oh.
Good.
All right, so I'll continue on. I want to talk a little bit about the PACE program, which has been so wonderful. It's new to this area in the past year. It's administered by Mass Health and Medicare, with the important goal of helping elders age in place. A team comes in for our high-need individuals. We're referring about our fifth person. A lot of them are from Elm Street. This has been the answer to a lot of the problems we have regarding providing resources to people to stay
Who
in
runs
homes. It's run through the state, Mass Health and Medicare.
Oh.
And I think the rationale is keeping people in their homes is much less expensive than putting them in a
Sure.
nursing home.
So how do people connect with this program?
Through me, I refer them with Tricia.
You might get word from somebody that someone's in need of this.
Anybody you can think of. The only downside is a $2,000 asset limitation.
What does that mean? Literally, you can only have $2,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
But
like people
literally-
at 60 own,
But people at 60,
not, some would qualify, not all would.
not all would, but there are a lot, there,
Qualification.
2,000 is,
It's
How-
Medicaid.
If you have
Nothing.
assets of more than $2,000, this doesn't apply to
how
you?
can
Right,
you
you can't.
only have?
but
That's awfully
Jim,
low.
there are a lot of people that we work with that
Wow.
don't come in here that are in that situation. So, and struggling just to, and social elder services provides homemaker, you can't get, there's not enough help. So this,
So this fills that very bottom rung of the gap with it.
this is, my enthusiasm, I can't tell you how happy I am.
Sounds great.
Because we often become case managers here. We do more than we're,
Right,
because there's nobody else.
right.
Social worker is just, yeah,
Yeah, and
overwhelmed.
it's just,
Oh.
we become, in one case can take up,
Oh, yeah.
so if anybody you know about that, so this is a game changer in my opinion for the services we can provide, and
What do they provide? What will they?
so they'll come in, if you're homebound, the doctor will come to your home, they'll bring in OT, PT, transportation, they'll do adaptations to your apartment. They provide a nutritionist, a psychiatrist, a social worker.
All paid for by the state?
Yeah, and under this program.
Medicare and Mass Health,
Yes.
so it's the federal and state.
Uh-huh. So it's no cost to the.
Well, they don't have any money, no, there's no cost to them.
Great.
Yeah,
Wow.
some people who maybe you can pay on a sliding scale.
Uh-huh.
too, So it's not just for,
That sounds.
but it's been in, the Boston area for quite a while, Quincy, Brockton, because I often, Dorchester. Yeah, it's been around for a while, so we just had it to this area. So again, so spread the word if you know of anybody who's really struggling, because there are no beds in nursing homes right now.
Really?
There's nowhere for these folks to go. So this really fills that gap. Okay, so I'm working on the formula grant submission that's due Friday. I'm working on that in the annual town report. Megan's, assisting me with that, which great, thank you. Invoices were received for the engineering and architectural design of the pergola. I have them here. Richie actually has the 2 bills in hand. We haven't sent them out yet.
How much was the second bill?
Right here. The second bill, first bill that you all saw was 420, and that was from Anderson Structural Engineering. And and the second bill was for the architectural design from, excuse me, why is Teriyaki?
Oh,
Teriyaki, that was for 1,320.
Ooh,
And that is going to be paid as was agreed upon in the October's meeting out of the eco earmark grant.
yep.
Okay. So he's going to be sending those out today. We were waiting on some W-9s. Okay, all right. So as we all know, the presidential primary is taking place here March 5th.
We don't all know that.
We don't? Okay.
What?
What?
I'm just saying, I'm not sure everybody knows that.
Oh. Oh, I thought we've talked about it a couple of
was
times.
fun,
No, I thought you. Oh, Dina, I almost fell off my chair.
I don't know it if I could. I really would.
There, initially there was 3 days. Yeah, we got it down to 2,
Oh,
which is great.
so which is the other day?
So Monday, they're coming in to set the setup, okay? I did offer the Friends group to have cafe in the living room. Okay, to do that there, and they talked about it and decided no.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah, I decided no.
Yep.
A lot of people are coming to cafe now.
Oh,
Yeah, and they
It's
really need to
booming.
spread out, and the way the food is
crowd in
that
there
we
right
do.
now.
Yeah, so.
Food that we do wouldn't lend itself to the living.
And we said we can just do muffins and coffee, just to have and put up table. We looked at this every way possible, and Karen decided that they did not want to do it. So we did try that. Strength is going to be upstairs. We are going to have an exercise class still upstairs on Monday, because they need to set up down here on Monday for Tuesday. There's a lot involved.
Yeah.
Everything has to be spaced out. There's all this legal, there really is a lot involved.
So when are they?
They're
just
coming in,
taking it down?
so I'll get
Oh,
there. Yeah,
sorry.
so Tuesday, we're not gonna have programming here. We did explore that, but for many reasons, it was decided not by me that we should not have. I was thinking of having.
No
people-
programming.
Yeah, for safety reasons, logistics. Yeah,
Yeah, we pushed pretty hard to be able to still have programs upstairs. However, there was a lot of pushback regarding security and traffic and things like that. I mean, people traffic, not car traffic, but
Mhm.
maybe car traffic too. So it just wasn't a battle to fight any longer, unfortunately. So we let that go.
and we did push. I pushed.
Yes.
Push.
you did.
I really did.
Yeah.
Hurt yourself.
Making friends. I just want, I looked at every, and asked again, what about this?
Do we have
So,
one of the programs going virtually? I know we talked about that.
yes, on Tuesday, we do have, Amy's has the ability to do her to virtual, so we will do that from home. And she handles that. She handles her own Zoom.
That's right. She's gonna do a Zoom class.
Yeah, she's gonna do that. Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, and they were able, initially Wednesday, they were gonna have to take down, but they can have it out, they said, by 10 o'clock in the morning, so we can resume for Wednesday.
So is
So-
Rich gonna send out a Zoom link to anybody that wants to do Amy's class, or is Amy sending out the Zoom link?
Yeah, yes, and we're doing that for tomorrow too.
Guess what? Who's sending the Zoom link?
Rich, yes, yes, yeah, and for the snow day, yep, he has
Alright.
that all set up, so. And then we have flyers here too, if you want to just take one home, so whenever, for her classes, we can do by Zoom.
Great.
Okay,
What about, classes that that aren't going to be Zoom, like our art class, will there be a makeup?
I'm talking to
Oh.
Pat about that. I'm talking, because her schedule's pretty, you know how she
Yeah.
has the one class between the two sessions, you know? I know.
Say we're overlooking the senior use provision that the town signed when they bought the building.
Yep.
It's huge. It's not supposed to be used by anybody. The seniors are not supposed to be knocked out of the building.
Right.
So I don't know what to do about that.
God, the only thing I can come up with, and I tried to call Glenn yesterday, is that was initiated by the emergency management portion of the government of the town. And
It
so,
has nothing to do.
well, wait a minute, let me finish. So a few years ago, apparently, and I know nothing about it, and I've been around here since the place was built.
Yeah.
They supposedly notified the state that they had a backup place and that the backup place was this. I have not seen that in writing. I'm going to ask for it. And I agree with you 100%. I agree with you. I have two things I agree with. I explained this to the young lady. The communication has been terrific, absolutely horrific. And I hope this never has to be this way again. I still don't have anything from the town that says that they have a rider for parking in the parking lot. And I've been advised that if I don't get it, shut the parking lot.
So I think there's an agreement between.
Not you think. I need to have a piece of paper that says that that the town has enough insurance to cover anything that goes. And I've heard nothing.
Well, I can get that to you. Yep, I'll get that to you.
Okay.
So should we go on record as being
Against.
Opposed.
Opposed to the, you know?
Yeah. I think
probably
we
gonna
should.
happen, But that we are.
I think we should,
we don't
because I
think it
think
should
this
be
was
on.
done, nobody's telling us how it was done, nobody's showing us any paperwork, nothing, it's just taken. And I agree with you 100%. It actually makes me angry, because I just think this has just been a game, it just goes on, and we have to, every time something up, we have to present it,
Yeah, we talked.
you know?
Yeah, you're right. And, I think the big problem is they're expecting to use this 4 times.
No, they are not.
They backed
Yeah,
down.
They've
well,
backed
they're
off.
expecting it, what was it, in March, June, September, and November.
Yeah, but they've backed off on that, Rich.
Oh,
But
they
I
have.
am gonna
Okay.
say, I still don't have anything in writing that says that the emergency management has precedent to demand that they take over the building.
So I
No,
do
that's
know. I do know moving forward that the schools are they'll be canceling school on the days that the next elections are coming up so that we won't be needing to use this.
Everybody's skirting the truth of the matter. Everybody's skirting. Where does it say that they have the right to do it? We have the say that says you don't have a right to. We went to court twice to stop this.
And we've
we
talked to
have
Chris Senior too.
And stopped Christina, right?
Yeah.
And we still have nothing that says to us, this is why it's okay to do this. So I'd appreciate it if you ask Christina or ask Glenn. We would like paperwork that proves that emergency management supersedes our court order.
I can look into that, sure.
I think at the time, the emergency management team were thinking snowstorms. and
Right.
When everything else is closed, this
Oh,
place is open.
Yeah.
For people to, but there's no senior programs at that, on those days.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
So I
that's
think
different.
That's the mix-up.
Maybe, it could be, but it bothers me to think the town government's this unsure of things. And the communication thing is just impossible. It's gone way beyond where it should be.
Speaking of which, the last time there was a power outage, you closed at noon.
So,
This building closed at noon last time there was a power outage.
Is it?
Yeah. But we also have generators here.
Yeah,
It
so
wasn't
they
also when
maybe
there
should have
is-
stayed open.
Yeah,
Also.
if it's part of the emergency.
Right.
not-
If it's out of the emergency,
I
it
think it's,
should not be closed. We got a generator, we paid a fortune for it, so we'd be
Right.
open.
I think it's considered a warming center as in it's an emergency mode and that specific day that it closed at noon, I think it was pretty warm outside. So I think that's why that call was made.
It was a safety issue to get the consideration to get people home.
Yes, it was
We
a
wanted to
windstorm.
get people off the roads. And actually a few people had to stay because their streets were blocked from trees. It was more that was an unusual situation. We didn't expect the windstorm to be that bad.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and it was, do we send people home and driving home in the midst of it? So we sent, Richie home first because they lived the farthest and I stuck around. And then we cleared the building.
And we weren't concerned about people being cold in their homes on that particular day because it was so warm out.
It was very warm. It was more of the wind.
So we are deemed one of the warming centers for the town or emergency locations for the town. And it's Elder Affairs policy also to be closed when the schools are closed. So most of the time when we've had these snowstorms, the schools were closed, therefore we were closed. So we weren't displacing anybody from their programs at all because that's what the policy is. This is kind of a unique situation where they deem the town hall to be inhabitable, right? Because if it's not up to code or safety or whatever the issues are. So they filed that with the state and it left the town no other options than to find an area quickly to have these public meetings, which are primarily the election venues. So emergency management had to step in and figure out where they could quickly do this. Obviously, the path of least resistance would be the senior center on March 3rd, and then they're going to be using the schools the rest of the year because in order to use the schools, there's extensive planning that has to be done to displace those classes or cancel school altogether. So that's kind of where we are with this whole thing. And it's unfortunate that it takes them a whole day to set up, which, if they came after cafe, I can't understand why they couldn't work at 11 o'clock and, stay as long as it takes to get it done. That doesn't make sense to me because, these people, the only ones that can't work after 4 o'clock or something. I just don't understand that. So, that's the only thing I disagree with is we could have cafe till 11 and then they can start at noontime.
Why not?
Overtime.
Because they
Yeah.
don't want to pay overtime.
No, from what I
Well, pay it.
understand, so
Pay it.
facilities has to set up for a certain amount of time. But then the town clerk has to come in also and train the folks who are gonna be working the polls and there's certain procedures that they have to,
And you can't do it after 4 o'clock?
I'm sure that they are doing it after 4 o'clock, but we also have to set up as well. So
Doesn't make sense. They could go till 11 o'clock for coffee.
I don't think we could ask the poll workers to be here till 11 o'clock is the problem. I think it's the training of the poll workers and setting up whatever logistics they
I
have to
thought they
set up.
already had the training session because that's
They
when,
did.
that's when Ruth Nedrow
They
passed
already
out.
did.
She said it was the training session.
Yeah, they've already had the training session.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of setup they have to do or what.
Well, this
what-
is what I mean by
Have to be there.
communication. You don't know, she doesn't know,
They
who
forgot to
knows?
train.
It's the town clerk and it's the town clerk's,
And the
role
town
to
clerk,
know.
it's her call.
Yeah, she's
It's
an-
her call to come into this building.
Yes, so it's
But it
law
isn't.
that she needs to be able to follow whatever procedures that she needs to follow.
Well, then she needs to communicate. If it's her, she needs to.
But I don't
communicate.
think the town clerk's the one that made the decision.
I don't either. I don't either. I
That's
just, the stepping stone. No, I know who made the reasoning.
Probably proceed.
You know damn right well it was. Yeah, we know. But I think a lot of this has just gotten to a point where I'm really angry because I just feel that I'm being manipulated continuously with things. Same with the parking lot. I'm just being manipulated. I personally know, I being people, are just being manipulated so that so the town gets what they want. And I'm going to get the answer to this. Is there a written thing? Paul, is there a written thing that says that the emergency management company or section has the right to overrule everything?
So I would have to check specifically. Emergency management does have the right to make decisions based on the level of emergency that they're allowed to utilize the assets of the town to help secure
That-
the safety for the town.
Is
That's
that in
kind-
writing?
Safety.
Yeah, that would be in their policy.
And it's not a safety issue. There's no safety issue here.
Well, whatever
Well,
the,
they would say
whatever the
emergency.
emergency would be.
That's it.
So, declaring the town hall unsafe and unfit to be in is defined as an emergency. So those people have to be displaced somewhere. And it's up to them to determine where they could be displaced. I don't know if there's anything specific in writing, but I could certainly find out for you.
Yeah, thank you. I would appreciate it. I really would.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
was gonna go to Glenn too.
Yeah, I mean, they could rent temporary trailers and put them in the parking lot just as easy as they could do anything else.
Sure they could.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's too late to do anything
Yeah.
about the March voting.
It
But
is.
definitely, I don't think we want the other three for the rest of the year. And we do have that legal document that says that we have, that elders have priority on the building. And that's pretty well established. And I know Chris Senior's aware of that. And he's paid for overtime in the past to have facilities set up for other programs, so we didn't interrupt what was going on. So I don't think that's an issue either. But I do think it's important to have them understand that this is, we're giving them a grace on this one, and that's it. I mean, I don't think we can stop it, and I don't feel that we should stop it, but I definitely don't want to do it any more than March. Anybody else?
My understanding is this is the only election that will be taking place now.
Well, yeah, we didn't know this was happening either.
Yeah,
I know.
your understanding is fabulous, but that's
No,
not.
but I'm told, initially there were some dates, other dates, but
I know.
now the Dare Hill.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, and as
The other ones.
Paul said, you know, the planning calendar for this March one was fast approaching, and the ones in the future, we can certainly plan with the school, and they're gonna need to cancel school on those days because it's a security issue. So they're planning for that for the next calendar
Will be
round.
all the schools?
Or isn't this?
Yes,
aren't
they'll
they on
cancel them all because they like to keep them
Well,
on the
the
same
next-
calendar.
November.
They have to all, complete a
A
certain
lot of
days.
towns don't have school on
I'm gonna be
election day.
here
It's not a
tonight.
big deal.
You got privy to information.
So that's all being worked out, but yes, that's what's
Mhm.
moving forward.
Should I continue on?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Before you do we need to get a written letter to Glenn that says, in fact, we understand emergency management situation for this one time, but that's it?
Yep.
Yes.
Eleanor, can you draft that letter
To Glenn, or is?
to Glenn? Yeah, and I obviously copy Chris
Yeah.
Senior.
okay.
And
Thanks.
and you may want to put in that paragraph from the legal document that we have.
Yes,
Right.
I've already
Okay.
showed it to him.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
But, yeah, so all right, I'm gonna make a motion that the board send a letter to town expressing our
Dismay.
Displeasure.
discontent, I was gonna say displeasure with this, how this has been set up. And that it will not happen.
A lack of communication.
Lack of communication and
Okay.
how it was, we'll let Eleanor word this.
Oh, great.
And include the paragraph about, seniors
But
having
the letter
priority.
comes from the board, not from Ellen.
Yeah, from
Right.
the board.
Yeah, it comes from the
Yeah,
board.
I'm sorry.
So someone will second that and that'll be it.
I'd second that.
On the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good luck, Eleanor.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, so we received a suggestion in the suggestion box for a cappuccino maker. I know.
Love that.
I know you like to be informed, what's going on, so that's why I put that in there, and I fully support this, especially at this moment. CEA by the numbers, we provided services, activities, and outreach to 365 individuals, resulting in 1,690 repeat visits. And that was for the month of January. And our website received 239 individual visits in January 2024. So the numbers are looking good.
Is that an increase?
It is an increase, and I'll make sure I add that, what percentage next time. That is an.
Do you know how much we did with the electric car? How many
That
trips we did?
specifically, I'm sorry, Rich, I can find
Okay.
out for you, though. I can find out,
Alright.
okay?
I've got a question.
Okay.
Megan, maybe you know the answer to this. The website, My Active Center, where people can register for programs and things here, that also runs that kiosk out front. I was told there's going to be some new software for that. Do you know anything about that?
Don't, no.
Because there was a question asked on that website at one time. What do you think of your experience using this? And I gave my opinion, which was not very favorable. It's a clunky, unfriendly, cumbersome site to use. And whoever responded to me, was anonymous, said, "Oh, new stuff is coming. You'll like it."
I bet it was My Active Senior Center, if I could guess.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah?
I bet it came from the company, if I could
Oh,
guess.
okay.
So I had a hand in helping implement your website, through the, Civic Plus. I don't know too much about My Active Senior Center. I've actually never really used it.
Mhm.
But I do know that Civic Plus does have a senior center module that we don't use, that we would have to purchase, in place of My Senior Center. So, you know, if that's something that we want to explore down the line, I'd be happy to set up some demos or something if that's something the board
I'd
would
be
like look
curious to
at.
know how many people actually use that to sign up for things and how many people just pick up the phone and call or come in here and sign up, because I know in exercise classes, lots of people go and put their $5 in the envelope and sign the sheet because they don't want to use that thing. And they've complained to me about how unuser friendly that it is.
It never accepts my credit card. I try to sign up online and it always.
A lot of people have issues with it. So
Oh,
The credit card
this is
is
the
all the time.
21st century. We need to have something that actually works,
Yeah.
that people can use easily.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's such a struggle. This has been going on for a year or more now.
so this is My Active Center. I know you
Yeah.
sign up a lot through My Active Center.
I do
see your
use it.
alerts.
But they're right, it is cumbersome. You have to go to 3-4 different pages
Yeah.
before you finally get signed up for.
Yeah.
That's dumb. It's just user unfriendly. There's no need of it.
I will, I'm gonna talk to Richie about that, and we can look at why your card isn't working. Maybe hopefully it's
Yeah.
something simple.
It's-
I
yeah,
haven't
it's
heard
something
of
to do
that.
with the senior center, because I remember I tried to sign up for lunch one time and use my card
Uh-huh.
and it didn't go through either.
So if you have a moment and stop at the desk and
All
see,
right.
we can take a look at that. Thank you for bringing that to the attention. I know I love your system that you use to sign up is very easy.
So it's, okay, let's
Yeah.
talk about that offline.
Yeah.
I can make that work for all of you.
You could, yeah,
Here,
yeah.
Oh, you can you? I'd have a new friend.
But we can talk about that
Okay.
offline and see.
Great.
And that's all I had.
Mhm.
Okay, can we get a motion on the director's report?
So moved to accept.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're into our general discussion phase. And I'd like to talk about the pergola. Megan, since you're here, the pergola that you were planning at the library, does that come with a roof?
Yes. Yeah, so it's a pergola-like roof that has the slots, and then we are getting some type of sunbrella fabric that goes over that has a pulley.
Plus
So
it
that's
could be
the type that
easily
we're looking at.
deployed and taken out without just somebody doing that.
Yeah,
Right.
just like a,
Oh, okay.
yeah, because of, and because of the location of the library's pergola, we did we did a very thorough study of where the sun was gonna be at certain times of the day and when we have certain programs. And so we decided that that would be necessary, in our design.
Well, I think we've kicked it around at our end as well, many times and been discouraged. We've been told it's best to build it without a roof and then see what you think afterwards, as
You talked
opposed to
about that
designing
too.
it in.
Yeah.
But
We
you
talked
guys,
about that too.
but why did you decide to go with the umbrella instead?
So we, talked about, we actually would go outside where the pergola is going to be during times that we have, programming. So like at 10 in the morning, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon are two popular times that we have our programming. And we kind of stand in spot and see where the sun was. And from that study, we decided that, it would be worthwhile for us to look into that.
Do you have a feel for what percentage increase that added to your cost?
I don't. So we did a cost estimate, and then we went out to bid. And those numbers were very different from what we had estimated and what the bids came back as. So I think, quite frankly, at least for us, the estimate was interesting, but it was so far off from what came back in the bids, that I don't know how useful it was to us. So I don't think providing numbers would be helpful, although I can look back in my notes and let you know.
Well, we haven't had any estimates. I don't think we've asked for any, for a roof since we've been discouraged. But I think it's unfortunate to go ahead and do this and not plan a roof. Any other thoughts, guys?
Well, we know that we can always
What are you
add
spending
one
right
later because these umbrella roofs are something that they do put on pergolas all the time. So our thought was, based on the numbers that we have, it's going to be tough ask to go get the money to do the pergola itself. Certainly putting the roof on is something that would be easier to achieve the following year or the following budget cycle, or use the gift account.
You can always let the library be your guinea pig too, you know, I hate to say that because, but
Say
you know,
again?
I said you could always let the library be your guinea pig on this too and let them, you know, implement this umbrella. And then if it works well for them, great, you might want to have the same model. But if it doesn't, then, you know, you could look into something that might work better.
Well, I'm not too fond of this pergola idea. I don't know if anybody else shares my opinion. When we talked about this in October, the price was 45 grand. And then in January, it jumped to 70 grand, and this is without a roof. And then the talk of going to CPC for half the funds, when if they even approved it in June. I mean, last year they approved the Valor Act in May, and we didn't get it implemented until January. So I'm really skeptical about this whole thing. I don't know if we should, beyond the drawings that we've already paid for, I don't know that we should move forward on this. Any other opinions?
Well, I think that everybody wanted a pergola. The purpose of the pergola was to provide more outdoor activity. Whether or not it has this umbrella on it is irrelevant. Providing the space outside is what everybody wanted.
Who's
So
everybody?
if we're not, if the entire board voted on it.
No, it was brought up as being a done deal as far as using this money from the state. But now we've more than, we've tripled what the state is going to provide. I don't know. I'm not fond of it. I mean, I can be talked out of it.
So the cost of the pergola went up because the town said we had to go out with and use prevailing wages because it's a town building, and that's what caused the increase.
And material. And the material was different.
Yeah. So if nobody wants a pergola, there'll be no outdoor activities except for us renting a tent every now and then for outdoor activities. If we have the 30-foot pergola out there, now you can expand all the programming for outdoor activities. And then, as we talked about over the last several months, that we would then evaluate buying a umbrella cover for the top and be able to have that retractable. So
Well,
if you
I'm
start,
still, you
if you
haven't talked me into it.
yeah,
I'm
no,
still-
hey, listen, it's a board decision if, or, based on what Nancy and Diane were telling us where they wanted to expand programming. If you want to expand outdoor programming, then you have to put something outdoors that would provide the opportunity to do that.
Well, what happened to the tent that we used to use?
Right.
There was a lot of problems with the tent. It broke more than once. Every time it rained, you have to shake the water off. It collapsed, if I can recall.
And we had the same problems at the
Yeah.
library. We experienced a lot of mold situations, and it's kind of the same thing that Diane's talking about, which is also why the library started to explore an outdoor space with a pergola because of the same issues that the tent. There's also a cost to put the tent up and take the tent down, and which comes out of operating budget. So that's not ideal either.
And what kind of program, I have two questions. What kind of programs, number one, are going to attract elderly people out there? And at what time of day have you tested the amount of sunshine?
So, why the whole idea of the tent came up is during COVID. When we reopened and we had to, spread people out and have program outside.
Yeah.
That's when we really looked at that space out there for the first time and said, wow, this is incredible. We had lunches out there, we had yoga, we had gardening
Okay.
classes, we had full, large food events, a lot of use. And then we had the tent, I believe, 2 years in a row. And every time there was a windstorm coming, like the storm tomorrow, we had to worry about taking it down. DPW wasn't always available. It was an issue, the tent. We were out there shaking water off. As to when the sun is and the time of day, I don't have that answer right now. I do know it's pretty strong, as you
Well,
can
the
see,
sun
right,
out
you
of
can
the
see it right now. You can see
Oh.
it right now.
I'm actually thinking about what you said. is
Yeah.
that They spent time going outside
Yeah.
saying, this corner from 12 to 2 is out of the question. It's just too hot. This corner here, if the wind's blowing, this isn't good. It'll blow everything off the table or whatever it is. And I just wondered if you had done the same analysis, because I would think that would be very important.
Our thought process was start with the pergola, which does provide an ample amount of shade and not complete, enough.
That's $70,000 worth
Of-
without going and doing your homework.
No, that's not, I have to disagree with that, Diana. We looked into this, we looked at umbrellas, we looked at different
No, no,
things.
no,
Yeah,
no. No, I'm just saying the actual standing there saying, where is the sun at this time? Where is the sun at that time? Not your, yes, I understand.
Yeah, so,
But just physically being out there and saying, okay, I'm 81 years old. So I'm probably the average age between 70 and 90.
Mhm.
And what do I want going on out here for it, for an activity? And at what point in this space
Hmm.
is it impossible? It's not good at 2 o'clock. It's good at 10 o'clock. Is this the program we want at 10 o'clock?
Right.
Where's the sun at 10 o'clock?
right now we have patio furniture with umbrellas, and that doesn't provide enough. We don't use that space out there. The only time we
No, I
use that
know
out
that.
there. No, I'm just, no,
only asking you, all I'm asking you is, have your staff gone out and checked out?
I'm trying to answer that.
Okay,
I'm trying to answer that and also give you the rationale of why we feel, so we can't use that space even with just umbrellas. It's too sunny. It's too sunny. It's not, nobody uses that out there. If you've noticed, since we've taken the tent down, nothing has happened. It's either too hot. It's a really sunny spot, and you can even see right now. So
So the answer is it's sunny all the time.
it's sunny all the time. So even with umbrellas, it doesn't provide enough shade to have things out there. We'll often go out there if I have to have a meeting with Nancy and sit under the umbrella. It's hot out there.
so
So,
what makes you think a pergola is gonna change?
because a pergola does provide shade.
So-
It does.
I
But not
totally
from
hear what you're saying, and
inside.
to rephrase, it's not at all, I'm just asking a question back from the beginning, not of Diane, or, of course, Nancy, who's away. I hear spending a lot of money on a slatted roof
Right.
object as perhaps impractical. And I wanted from the beginning to wonder, what are our other options? Because I am allergic to the sun. I'm not 81, and I don't like sitting in the sun at all. It makes me have bad rashes. So I am sensitive that lots of people have different needs related to heat and sun. Second of all, a quick Google search showed 11 different ways to make pergolas more sun impermeable. Motorized roofs, the ways you orient the slats. I haven't heard any necessarily
That's what it
research
said.
done on how to not have 16 or 12-inch gaps between our $70,000 structure, providing a lot of sun. So I think what I'm hearing you say is that spending so much money on a gapped structure doesn't necessarily compute. And the second thing that made me feel force-fed, and that's the word I want to use, and maybe Rich said it was presented as not a choice. I felt force-fed, and I don't know how it was presented, but my opinion is that this was presented as a fact rather than a choice. If there are 11 different roof coverings, I was told this is in the original plans that there be a pergola there. Well, the quick Google search demonstrates that a pergola can have a closed roof. So the original plans were made by an architect at some point in the past, but they, in my mind, are a living document based on the needs of the senior center today. So rather than demonstrating in the past that architect dictated, I don't like being told that. I like having 11 choices and the prices for a couple of them that are reasonable or practical. And then the board might choose, it's just one idea, to choose between the practical choices and the prices for each that might provide more sun filtering protection. And those are just my ideas. Rather than say the plans are such that they have to have gaps. Well, they don't necessarily. There's different ways to cover up.
Yeah, I think we all kind of got around, we talked about maybe more of a pavilion, you know, it's gonna be pricier. I personally think pergolas are kind of useless, because I'm the same as you. If I'm outside, I don't want to be sitting in the sun at all, and pergolas do let the sun.
They do. And you're sustaining the fact that it's very sunny all the time.
Absolutely. And what I've seen, you know, in assisted living centers that I've been, they'll have the pergola, the structure. In addition, they'll have the tables with an umbrella for that extra added.
yeah.
And if you've ever been under one at a restaurant, I know, but it does provide between the two,
Good.
you know.
Sun coverage.
I know it does seem redundant, but have you ever been to an outdoor space with that? And that's what they do, that they'll have a big pergola that covers, you know, and then they'll have the tables and if needed, the umbrellas.
And I also want to point out that if you're planning on using this space spring through fall, there are sometimes that you want that sun to come in because it's cool out. So, you know, that's something to think about as well, is that maybe a structure that's more like a pavilion is going to stop you from having programs in the spring and the fall when maybe you want some of that warmth coming in. So just wanted to point that out. A lot of New England problems.
I feel like maybe there's a feeling of pressure because of the grant. It was written, we've been given money, we need to use the money or lose it. But the money isn't going to nearly cover what we need now, so maybe it's not worth, I'm not an opinion, it's a question, I guess.
Well, I think
Is it worth to get that money?
last month we
And-
talked about
Yeah,
just doing the fittings. The
Oh,
footings,
yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
using the
Yes.
grant money to do the footings.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true too.
then-
Then the
And
design
then
could go
decide,
from there.
yeah,
Mhm.
the design that we have to raise money for.
And I think the grant is as such that it just says outdoor structure or outdoor, it's very, Nancy and I talked about making it as broad as possible. Maybe you have the language, Diane, but that
I
might
do.
open up some usage for the grant if the board decides that they don't want to do a pergola. You know, maybe there's something else that could be so at least we don't lose the money.
right.
I certainly think it's a great idea to have an opportunity to utilize all that space outside. And oh, if it's a pergola with a cover on it or, you know, some expanded, space that we can use a majority of the time, I think it would be great. I mean, everybody loves fresh air and we don't have that opportunity at the moment, with just an open patio with no shade. So, you know, whether it's you use it with the grant money or not, there's always the opportunity to go to CPC, because that's what their funding is for. So I'm not driven by the money part of it, though. Using the 25,000 from the formula, did kind of say, hey, what do we want to use it for? And we've always talked about a pergola, so that's kind of how that started. But if you know you want to put off doing a pergola until next year, then you're looking at a pergola probably in 2026 or 2027.
Well,
I just-
Diane, at one time you said you had other uses you could think of for that grant money.
I did. Because the other side of the building is not sunny all the time. And I had, and the police and the fire do their cookouts out there, and I really felt there was enough space out there that we could spend $35,000 and make it useful. Yes.
Actually, no, I meant the other Diane. I meant Diane, not
Oh.
Diane.
I think that might have been Nancy who might have mentioned that, but I just want to go back and I want to, about what Megan said, the great point about the use for spring, summer and fall, you know, all the seasons. So the earmark funds will be spent, as Nancy had put, we plan on purchasing the means to expand our usable outdoor space for additional outdoor activities and events to offer throughout the spring, summer and fall. And that's how it was submitted. So,
Outdoor space.
yeah, outdoor space. So, and that to what I feel we use the back a lot, you know, with bocce and cornhole and our, and again, during COVID and when we had to use it with the tents, we realized, wow, how usable this space out here could be.
Well, the nice part of doing something on that side is you have the doorways that go directly out.
Mhm.
And you have your kitchen on that side.
Mm.
And people are pretty casual. They like to be
And
casual.
we do use those tents, which
We
are
do
problematic out
we do
there
use a
too.
tent. Yeah, and you know,
And I don't know how those slats work. I really don't. I have
Yeah.
no idea, but I don't remember that ever being brought up do we know how we would use the slats? Has it ever been? Because I know that I'm not an engineer, that I can't do.
We
But
did, we did have several board meetings about, coverings for the opposite side of the building where the bocce courts are and where the cookout is.
Right,
And we had talked about, kind of mounting some awnings on the building so that they come out.
right.
And we heard from DPW about what it would take for them to be able to do that, you know, put them up for the year, take them down for the year. We also talked about getting a separate shed just for us to store our own awnings in, rather than haul them around town and wonder where they are.
Yep.
But that was something that we were able to fund ourselves, I think, as opposed to going to CPC for the larger ask on the
Right.
pergola.
And the awnings on the building aren't necessarily have to be removed in the wintertime.
Yeah,
If
they
it-
would.
If they're
Yes.
electrically open and shut,
Yeah, so they would mount rails to the building and then you just unhook them and take them down for the winter.
okay.
Yeah.
But that's
Hours of
possible.
winter.
Well, we've gone nowhere.
All right.
Were we supposed to be deciding something?
Well, I mean, I guess I'd like to open it up to the board and see if there's any interest in continuing along this pergola. It sounds like there is some interest. I don't know if we have a majority of interest.
Yeah,
I do think this, go ahead, Paul.
No, we spent a lot of time going over the style of the pergola, the size of the pergola, and we all agreed that a pergola was a great idea. But then we did spend a lot of time talking about how we're going to shade it. So that was the the area where we still didn't have a decision on. But it seemed like we were all for the pergola. It was just the shading of it so that we can get more use of the pergola. We felt if it was covered. So,
Well, I think that was when the pricing was much different too.
yeah. So, the pricing is not the issue for me. The decision really is what's in the best interest of the seniors moving forward, because if we're getting busier every year, we're adding more people to the facility. You can only sit in that kitchen for so many days. If we provide this opportunity to be outside, then it opens it up to a lot of other things that we can do. Garden club could come in. There's outside yoga we could be doing. And if just buying the awning or the covering for it is the hang up, then we certainly could budget that in. If we go to CPC, certainly put the proposal together, adding, say another 25,000 in the awning, and see if we can't get that approved. Because like you said, Rich, if they approve that in the Springtown meeting, which I think got pushed to June, funding becomes available July 1st.
Wow, lots of luck. The
Well,
Valor Act took 6 more months.
Yeah, so it'll
Yeah.
be there. I'm not worried about that part of it. What you experienced was a program that had to be implemented through the finance and tax collecting department. So that's why yours took so long. But, knowing that Glenn is kind of behind the project, I can tell you, I think it will go a little quicker.
Well, and also with funds, the funds just become available automatically on July 1. And as Paul said, that was a whole program that needed to be, implemented. So if it's voted on a town meeting, it's not possible that it doesn't become available on July.
Yeah, so anything voted on in town meeting, when I say funds are available July 1, that means the spending can begin. Go about, getting the bids in, getting the selected, and then start building and submitting, the invoices would probably, my guess, September, October.
Well, even in best case, it wouldn't be available for this season anyway. We're looking at next year.
Right.
Right. So your option is, if we decide a pergola is in the best interest of the seniors moving forward, then we get a pergola started now, then they can start using it. Even if it's ready in the fall, you can have something in the fall, and then obviously through the winter we wouldn't, and then spring. If you wait till next year, then you move that cycle out another year.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's wise for us to keep dragging our feet. I mean, we should either say yes or no.
Us,
Pardon me? Well,
cost
I
is
didn't
gonna
hear
go
that.
up. Nothing's gonna be cheaper if we wait a year, so,
That's and we won't have this grant again.
yeah.
But I hate to encumber us with such an expense where where it all started because we had some free money. And now now we have to look at CPC. We have to see whether or not they could handle that. And then again, I guess it hasn't been shown to me that it's of any real use. I think because I'm one of the people who play bocce out in the sun, and it's damn hot. So sometimes we move out of there just because it's too hot. Now of course we don't use it because of the weather. I guess I'd like to hear somebody who wants to do this. I know, Paul, you want to do this.
I do.
want to do this.
Yeah.
And Jim wants to do it, okay?
I think it's a good idea to
I did
put
too.
a covering out there.
I think we need to really consider the benefit of outdoor space, and we're not done with pandemics and COVID and all that stuff. We're gonna see that again. And when we do, I think we're all gonna wish that we had outdoor space, because it was a lifesaver the last time. People were depressed, people were frustrated, people were really upset about being stuck. And if we don't do this now, we won't have it when we need it. So I get the objections about the cost and all that stuff, but I can't see that the choice of a roof covering is a technological obstacle that can certainly be solved. I don't know what the solution is, but I know there are plenty of products out there. There are plenty of ways to do it. So I have confidence that that doesn't need to be an issue. As to the scale of the project, it seems big and cumbersome and all, but it's better to do it right the first time, spend the money that it costs to get something solid and substantial that will last, rather than try to think about tents or anything like that.
I think just go ahead with the pergola now and figure out the covering later.
So are we talking about just spending the money that we can get for now?
Just
And
Well, do
we
the
don't have enough
footings.
money for the whole thing,
We have enough money for the footings, right?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the plan, if we move forward, would be to present to CPC an amount of $100,000 in which Elder Affairs would put up 25% and CPC would fund the 75%.
I
Is
just
that
want to point
reasonable?
out that CPC is being floated for like so many things around town right now. Everybody's competing for that money,
Mm.
including the old town hall, like the select board, is more or less promising.
But we've never asked them for anything. Is that right?
I don't think that matters. No. But
Yeah,
Well,
we
it
just,
should
I'm
help.
just saying,
It
there's a
should help.
lot of competition for CPC money,
Sure.
so it's worth the ask, but I just don't know that where we would fall on the pecking order.
Mm.
And also, weren't we talking about using some gift fund money for this? Or did that?
I think Nancy may have been, I'd have to go back and look at those notes, so
That's what I thought too.
I
thought it
mean, I
was
think, to me,
33,000.
I've always looked at that amount of money that's in the gift fund and think, why aren't we spending
Yeah.
this money,
Yeah.
People give a gift to
We
benefit
could
the
pay for
citizens.
half of this from,
Which I would think that would make sense to
yeah.
dip into that.
Great use of it.
Where's the gift account at?
it's about 43,000, I think.
Not
My-
just-
60.
I thought
No, it's 63.
Yeah.
Yes, some of it might be restricted
It's
to use.
restricted.
33 unrestricted.
Okay,
yeah, 33.
How much? 33?
That's what
That's
that's what Nancy
restricted.
was talking about.
Yes.
So what's
She
left?
said use the 33 plus the grant.
And then the later down, going to CPC came on the.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Right,
then,
yeah.
Yes.
Well, is there any more discussion?
But do we have the final plan? I think they were coming back to us with like, okay, this is,
I don't think we have.
yeah, and that's where I'm a little fuzzy.
$70,000 wasn't a final plan number?
I thought-
70.
That was my
Did you
impression.
think it was?
70,
70,000 was
yeah,
the
it was
full
sev-
length of
Yeah.
patio?
That was the whole deal. That was the
Okay,
whole-
well, that's
Yeah,
what I want.
and
If we're
this is
doing
the
it, it's
plan.
the full
That's how it
length.
sounded
patio.
from Glenn.
70
Yeah,
grand with no.
that's what
limit.
sorry.
And that was the new estimate based on the better.
Right? The new
Product.
material and
Mhm.
Yeah.
the
this thing he gave us. last
prevailing
Okay.
wage.
Yeah.
All right,
So if
yeah.
it's,
Yeah,
if
option one,
Focus
if
on
the total, if the total is 75, then, we fund 25 and we ask CPC for 50, that's an easier ask. And then our gift account could be later used for the awning.
Or we might have.
We might have to come up with
CPC
50,
says no, we
yeah.
might have.
Bake sale.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
As long as Liz bakes.
That's not,
Okay, are we
Yeah,
in a
well-
position,
Put
are we in a
penny jar
position
in
now
it.
then that we can
That
take a
stand
vote on
over here.
this?
Yes, we need to take a vote.
Yeah.
All right, can someone prepare a motion, or I will, as to,
Yeah.
what we want to vote on?
I'd like to make a motion to vote on installing a pergola based on the current plans that were in front of us. And even if the plans are extended as they move through the construction phase, to put in a pergola for outdoor use And then separately, we will have a subcommittee look into the awnings to be approved later for the roofing.
I second that motion.
Whoa. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. On the motion, any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the
Target
motion?
a price, or are we just saying, let's go for it?
The 70
Okay.
grand.
Do we want to like put any kind of a dollar figure in there, or
That's the dollar figure that's on
just
Glenn's.
say based
No,
on?
we're just approving the building of a pergola. 'Cause
Okay.
the pricing is gonna change, so we don't know what the prevailing wage.
Okay. So just, yeah.
So the price is gonna go up again over the 70?
No, what I'm saying is we don't have an exact number to put on there, so we're approving building a pergola based on the proposal that we have in front of us.
Okay,
And then an awning would come separately from the board.
Oh. Sorry.
Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And as your chairman, I'm not allowed to vote. So I only vote if there's a tie, and obviously there's no tie. Okay, so we'll move forward with this. Now, I think it's also appropriate to go ahead and out of the grant that we've already received, to start the construction of the footing. Is everybody in favor of that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, we probably need another motion. A motion to use the state grant to obviously do the footings, and hopefully it leaves the area such that it can be used until the pergola is installed.
Yeah.
So
are you proposing that motion?
unfortunately, yes. I'm not supposed to, but I don't see anybody else doing it.
Well, I will make that motion if you would like.
Okay, go right
I'll
ahead.
second the motion.
Well, on the motion, is there any discussion on the motion?
No.
Discussion on the motion? On the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. So Diane, now I don't know what has to happen to move forward to start the footings.
So what we have to do is we have to get approved to build the pergola completely with our funding, because we can't move forward with putting in footers if we don't have money to build the pergola, I don't think.
Oh, well, that's a different story.
Yeah, I thought we could do the footings and then worry about it later.
What happened?
I know, because Glenn said at the last meeting, like, oh yeah, you could do the footings and they wouldn't just, then they'd
Yeah,
be
because obviously
just
you gotta spend
round
this
and it
money by
wouldn't, you
June.
could still use
Are
it
we
like,
talking about money now, or?
Yeah,
What is, I don't.
is Paul saying we need all the money before we can do anything?
Oh, I'm done.
No, I'm not saying you need all the money. I'm saying that we have to go in front of CPC to get funding approved to build so we can build the pergola. If you're gonna go ahead and put in footers without financing the rest of it, that's just a risk that we take, and then you'll have footers out there if it doesn't get approved.
Okay,
See
so the
why I
next
said
move
we
is to
were
go to
dragging our
CPC.
Similar, really, yes. So layers. Many layers.
Yeah.
Well, and now I'm thinking too, if the project needs to go out to bid,
No,
can we piece it together? And I think that would be a question for Michelle Leary, unless you know, Paul.
If what now?
If we have to go out to bid for the project,
Yeah,
we'll piece it together the way that we're kind of outlining that. The answer, is yes, I just was thinking about.
yeah, so Glenn was in discussions with Michelle on that, because we believe that the contractor is already approved contractor for the town.
Okay.
And yeah, if his portion is under a certain value, I think there was a way that you could do that.
Okay, yep, that makes, thank you.
So what's the next move? To go to the CPC to get,
I saw, yeah, I
So-
would say yes, I would say.
happen to
yes.
be not
I
designated.
agree. That seems like the logical next step to me.
Yeah, who will
Yeah.
do that? Who will approach the CPC?
So I can fill out the application. It's CPG just changed their applications now. It's about 16 pages.
God.
So I can get the application filled out and I can schedule a meeting for us to attend. The
Bless
next
your heart,
CPC
Paul.
meeting. Because we have
To
to get,
attend the CPC?
yeah, so it has to, we have to go in front of CPC. And if they approve it, then it has to go on the article and the warrant. And there's a deadline for that.
What's the deadline? Any idea?
Well, I don't know because they were supposed to move the deadline since the town meeting got moved to June instead of May. They thought they were going to move the deadline for the warrant, so I don't know if Megan has any idea on that or not.
I don't know. The only thing that is popping up in my head a little bit is that the library is also talking about going to CPC to cap off their pavilion or their pergola project as well.
Yep.
And so I'm wondering if it would be strategic or not to go in as a team under community services for both projects, or if maybe that's unwise.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you guys have about $2 million in your gift account and we don't. So
That's not true. But
yeah, so I don't know if I would want to tie my horse to that wagon, but we've never asked CPC for money. This is our first ask. Everything we've ever done is with Social Service League. So if we're positioning ourselves just for 50,000, we may have a better chance on our own to do that, as opposed to them looking at us collectively saying, wow, there's, a couple $100,000 here for pergolas.
yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
I'm just,
So,
yeah, definitely. I was just thinking might be doing the same thing, and
Yeah.
would it be wise to do it together? But it sounds like you don't think that would be wise.
yeah, that's just my opinion. I don't know. If we're asking, what are you guys asking for CPC? Isn't it 6 figures?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's discussion on, because we're trying to, if Elder Affairs is gonna move forward, then we were talking about maybe talking to Capital. So I think we're just trying to see if we can get them all funded. So I'll
Yep.
definitely talk to the crew over there and just see, if they want to pivot or what they want to do. I don't think it's gonna be, I don't want to make it a competition. I want all the projects to get done. I think we just need to be strategic about how they're presented. So
Sure.
I'll just think about that.
Okay.
Well, do we have the time, Paul, in your mind that you could work up the proposal? And we have enough time to discuss it at our next board meeting before we meet with CPC, or should we move faster than that?
It depends on what the deadline is for getting things on the warrant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but we'd obviously meet with CPC before, they might need some time to kick it around as well, correct? So it's not just a one and done.
Right. So we'd have to submit the application and request an opportunity to present ourselves to the board. So we would have Glenn's proposal with the artist renditions and all that stuff.
Yeah. All right, do you think you could do that between now and the next meeting? Now in March?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Well, I guess if we want to move forward with that, based on how successful you are with the application, if you want to have us call a special board meeting before we go to CPC to discuss this, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Or, if we've got more time, just wait till the March meeting.
Okay. I'll reach out to CPC and find out what their deadlines are.
Terrific. Thank you. Any other thoughts on the pergola at this point, since we voted for it? Okay, if I don't hear any, I had a question on the vans. We talked the last time, especially when Bob Sylvia was there, about them the 2 vans not being utilized because of the ceiling height and the difficulty is for seniors to get into them. And I'm wondering if anybody's looked at taking 1 or 2 seats out of the van, if those vans, if that would make it any better.
It's the pulling up, and not having the headroom to stand up once you get in there is the,
Okay, so it's the headroom's the issue. And we can't get caps for those vans that would extend the head roof?
no, because they would have to, yeah, they would basically have to modify it. So it would be a, cutting the roof off and then adding the cap on and hoping in 3 years from now, it doesn't leak.
Right. We
Mr.
did that
Chair,
for my brother-in-law and it worked out fine.
The current wheelchair van does leak. So,
Oh,
If I could just interrupt, gentlemen, while we were talking about the pergola, Bob Sylvia joined us. So he's
Okay, good.
on here with us, so.
so I am here and I can answer that quick question in regards to the headroom.
okay.
We did look at trying to raise the roof of the van. And the company that we were speaking to told us it was probably extremely problematic and would not be worth the money.
Okay,
As Paul's already mentioned, the problem with the vans is the headroom itself in the interior. And those are Transit 150s. So the 150 is the smallest of what Ford sells in that type of van. And then there's a 250 and a 350. What we're looking at is probably the 250 or the 350 with the high roof, which would give us actually almost 6'6" headroom inside of the van, which is
well,
about
that's
the
good for me.
size the wheelchair van is. So that's what we're looking at the present time.
Okay, so the idea that those 2 new vans are expendable then at this point.
Well, what we've done since the last meeting, and a quick update, we started researching what they might be worth. And I took a trip up to CarMax in Norwood with the van. So with van number 1, which is the one that has approximately 10,300 miles. Now, both of those vans are 2019s. And the folks at CarMax were willing to give us $31,000 for that van.
Nice.
Wow.
So came back, had a conversation with Michelle, actually had a proposal from CarMax. Unfortunately, trying to do it that quick and easy would put Michelle probably in procurement jail. So what she is doing, and I think it was going to go out today, is she's going to put that van out for bid. So request for proposals, whatever, to see if we can, see what others might be willing to pay. But more importantly, that there's about a 2-week window on that. We'll go back to CarMax again and we'll get another proposal. I don't think it'll change because the mileage isn't changed other than the trip back from Norwood to Cohasset.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting that it's worth about $31,000 just for the one. And if we're successful with this, then the next question just becomes, can we get the money? Because the money, anytime you sell something, I'm told it goes to the general fund. Then we have to see about transferring the money from the general fund back to the capital folks and have them earmark that money toward what we're spending.
Really?
Sounds kind of busy, but it's not half as bad as it sounds.
Okay.
And
Go
then
for
you're still looking at a mommy van as a replacement, right, for those 2?
Wow.
So for your,
Can't say that anymore, Rich.
yeah,
Chrysler,
what we envision is that where we presently have 4 vehicles, we have the big wheelchair van, we have the 2 150s, and then we have the electric car, that the fleet would then be turned into the big wheelchair van, which obviously is being replaced this year, getting rid of one of the 150s and turning that into the 350 with the high headroom, and then to also do the same thing with the other 150 and put that as a money toward a smaller, we'll call it a minivan, a Chrysler Pacifica, that type of,
Yeah,
as you said, Rich, a mummy van.
right.
So yeah, that's what we envision at the present time. Michelle has already worked those into the capital budget for this year. So at some point, we'll be going in front of the capital budget folks and having that conversation if they think that this is a good idea also.
I think that's terrific. I know you have experience with working on, moving wheelchairs in and out of vans. With this, the van that we're getting, does that have a lift similar to what Buzz used to have?
So what we envision with that 350 with the high roof is that there will be a wheelchair lift in the back through the back doors.
Okay,
Happened to see a bunch of those on the road lately. And it seems that it's a really good idea for us to have two different vans that both have wheelchair lift capabilities. So one can back the other one up, and it kind of looking down the road, who knows where we're going to be as far as elder affairs in 10 years and what services we're going to be trying to provide. So that's what we're looking at, Rich.
and did we have a general price tag on that?
So the van itself is somewhere in the ballpark of the 50s for the van itself. And there's probably another 20,000 plus of retrofitting.
Right,
So what you buy is what they refer to dealer's prep pack, which the van is ready to have all the additional equipment installed. And then it would go down to a company down in Norton, which is Quality Vans. And I know that I sent those exact numbers to as proposed. So what we're dealing with as far as buying the van, we have to buy the van off of the state bid list. That's how we get this thing done. And so we have a hard number from Colonial Motor Group for what the van costs. And then we kind of have the same, almost, we won't call it a boilerplate number, but a pretty close number from Quality Vans for the retrofit. So as I said, 20 plus for the retrofit and 50 plus for the van itself.
so another 75 grand, okay. Okay.
And then it's
And
lettering.
am I to
Lettering and all
understand
that
that that's all in
Don't-
process?
Lettering.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was-
In the cost.
Lettering.
Bobby, you were saying that this is already in the planning stages with capital?
Michelle added the big van,
That's it,
the
yeah.
350, as well as the minivan to the capital budget proposals for the year, so that we would have those, we, Elder Affairs, and you guys as the board would have them in the pipeline. But nothing's gone any farther than that, other than Michelle added them to the list.
And that list is also going to be voted on in June?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, no, I think that's terrific.
So you have to go in front of capital budget with a plan that kind of demonstrates that we're going to basically sell off two vans and collect $60,000, if you will, and then apply that to the two new vans. So the net result for CPC might be 40 or 50,000, something like that.
For CPC or for capital?
Capital budget.
Yeah, okay. Good, and that's moving. That's great. Anybody have any comments on that?
I just want to thank Bob Sylvia for his time. This has been very timely and he's been doing this, so we appreciate it. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Well, in his younger days, he spent a lot of time lugging people around in wheelchairs.
Well, that, and I have a little bit of experience of helping the town spend money, so I'd love to help you guys.
The electric car guy. Okay, do we have anything else to discuss? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
You sure can, pal.
At lunchtime?
So
Do we have a
moved.
second? Do we have a second?
Second.
Eleanor, this is gonna be tough to write up. Good luck to you. All those in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. See everybody in April. Don't
No
shovel
longer,
too hard.
Rich. Bye, Paul.
Well, what about March?
No,
Yeah.
he's coming
March,
back.
I'm sorry. Never mind, March.
Oh,
It's so nice down here, I may not be back. I may be on
Enjoy
Zoom
the
again.
sun. All right,
it
I'm
was
gonna-
feels like a
bye now.
March.
Bye, folks.
Okay, bye.
You already knew that.